Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here. You guys know what time it is. Time for a channel current events. And I apologize if it gets noisy here. There's already trucks outside at 4 in the morning when I'm filming. I have no idea why. But hopefully it won't interrupt this video. But a quick reminder for those of you who like these videos, please remember to click like down below. And this just kind of gives an update with my reasoning and what I'm doing with my training, with my channel. We do these. People are going to notice because by the time this video comes up, because here in a few hours I'm going to do the first dynamic workout, I'm going back to what I did most of last year. The majority of last year we ran normal conjugate. Now I've obviously learned a lot about myself, about my recovery, about my weak points, all of that since then because we ran normal conjugate with speed days. And then I went into that phase to where I did max effort days only up to 7 days a week. Did it for months. And eventually I did reach the threshold to where the recovery became an issue. And even then, as I had just transitioned back, I was going to do 4 days of max effort, but I've realized as much as I might be max effort hungry, realistically, doing 2 max lifts every single week is actually enough for me to get the real benefits from it. I like maxing every day. It's fun. It just may not be necessary. It may not be the best use of my slots. Now, when I was doing it that way, and you guys remember I started with the random lifts, and then I went over into more structured with it, I got a lot of big PRs, right? We got stronger and stronger. The peak of it, 552 back squat, 615 deadlift. So let's kind of go back to what built that base, because eventually that peaked and it got to a point to where recovery became an issue. But I learned a lot of things about, again, my weak points, what I need in my training. The other thing I also learned, I can handle a lot more volume than I thought I could. So when I'm going to only be doing 4 main days and then restoration days, we're going to do restoration days. And a lot of people have come in and said, Jason, you could do more GPP and all that, and I don't need that at the moment. And the only reason I say that is if I've got recovery to do big GPP sessions, I have recovery to do 5 more sets for my legs. I have the recovery to do 5 more sets for my back on my main days. Okay, I'm going to take those days to pretty much close to my maximum recoverable volume, which is what you guys are seeing, right? I mean, we're seeing like 5 sets of good mornings up to 5 sets of hip belt squats, trying to build to that. 5 sets of glute ham raises, 5 sets of rows and stuff after squatting and deadlifting, etc. Same thing on the benching days. We're doing up to 25 work sets of multi-joint accessory movement plus any smaller stuff we're doing, right? 20 to 25 sets after the big work. And these are still multi-joint exercises for the most part. Again, with some smaller stuff, curls and other things thrown in. So it's a lot of volume. It's a lot of volume. And I've learned that I can handle that. So then that means on the restoration days, what do? Abs, grip, reverse hypers. I do my reverse hyper every day. Okay. And like yesterday was an off day. We did 4 sets. Now we're going to hear the backup sounds. We're going to deal with that for a bit. But yes, I'm going to have restoration days. So it's going to be reverse hypers, which I do every day. In fact, yesterday I did 4 sets of 25. Going to do ab work, a lot of standing ab work, some extra tricep press downs with my bands, right? Because I need more triceps for my benching. Things like extra grip work. All that stuff can be done on those days, okay? And those are all easy to recover from. Building the core, helping the spine recover, building the erectors, extra hamstring. So it really, those days are going to be used to do things that are easy to recover from, that they're still active, still very active, but mostly just really high rep stuff, grip training, things like that. So what I'm going to do is go back to my normal situation of what I did to build my strength back up, what I did to get my squat back to 500 plus, and all these other things. And it's going to be max effort day, which is going to be a bench of some type. And we're going to have a max effort deadlift or squat day, and I'm going to rotate a squat and a deadlift every day. And we maintain the skill on those movements by doing the speed work. Okay, I'm going to go back to my 3-week waves of speed work. I'm thinking at this point, though, just for extra range of motion, we're going to keep doing the speed off the deep box. I'm going to go off of an 11-inch box, not a 12-inch, so that I'm basically 3 inches below parallel. It's what I'm pretty much get. So we know that we're practicing depth, and power from a dead stop at that depth for the speed work. I think because, again, just to get a little more stretch at the bottom, and since I'm closed grip benching and it won't be as big of a range of motion increase, I'm probably going to do a lot of my speed work with the buffalo bar. So again, we're going to focus on getting these deep ranges of motion for speed work. I'm probably going to do sumo again for a while just for the extra mobility and easy to recover from for the speed pulls, but I might eventually go over to deficit conventional speed pulls, right? I might do some phases of that. Let's work on getting explosive at the deepest range of motion on these lifts, even though we're using bands and chains. It's going to go back to my waves of bands and chains, 3-week waves on a 3-week pendulum wave, just like we did before, but with the advantage of realizing I no longer have to mess with the hook grip. My deadlift percentages and lifts are going to be much, much higher now because I'm not messing with hook grip. My deadlift is up like 80 pounds. Okay, that's going to reflect on the speed work. It's going to reflect on the speed work. And to use bigger numbers, and again, using the mixed grip for all of it, I'll be able to handle bigger weights faster. So I think we're going to see a lot more transfer to the deadlifting. Okay, and that's one of the other reasons to do this. I get a lot more practice on deep box squatting for the range of motion. Also means there's so much quad work on the speed day, I can do the hip belt squats. I don't have to worry about those on the speed day, right? Because we're going to do up to 12 sets of speed squats, 12 sets of speed pulls. That's plenty of quad work. But the max effort days, we're going to keep working on increasing the volume on the hip belt squats, bring the quads up. Obviously, all my work for my hamstrings, my rectors, all the tricep specialization we're doing, all this other stuff's still going to be there. And now that we know where all my weak links are, because I've done so many different bench variations, squat variations, deadlift variations, to maxes over and over and over, I've been able to assess my strength curves, my weak points, everything very, very effectively. Now we can even adjust the speed work to compensate for those things. We can adjust all the accessory work to compensate for those things. And I'm predicting I'm going to have just as good of a year as last year. Okay? Just as good of a year. Because I broke a 500 squat again last year for the first time in years and years and years, and ended up getting a 552 squat. Broke a 600 deadlift again for the first time in years and years and years, and I pulled a 605 conventional on one day and a 615 on another. Okay? We're going to hopefully see these sort of increases again this coming year. This is how I'm going to reach my goals. This is how I'm going to get the 600 squat. This is how I'm going to get the 650 plus deadlift. Same thing with the bench. We're going to bring the bench up using all this because it works. We know it works. It's been proven to work. So yeah, that's what I'm doing. I'm going back to taking all the lessons I learned from this 4-month period of max effort, high max effort, going back to the system I was using right before. They're both variants of conjugate. And we're now implementing everything that we learned in terms of my weak points, grips, everything else. We're going to take all of that, bring it back to what I did for 8 months straight last year, and repeat the process with all the updated information, the higher training volumes, all of that, and try to achieve that same level of progression again, just like we did last year. Okay? And might I go back to a daily max or higher frequency max again? You bet I might. In fact, that's a great way to start to peak strength. We may do that again. It was fun. It was a good experiment, and it still flows with the system. But I do feel like going back to the other works, and I know it works because I watch my clients do this stuff. I have, again, quite a few clients who run a conjugate type system. They all PR over and over and over, and some of them are advanced lifters. Okay, some of them are quite advanced lifters. And they're still getting PRs off this stuff. So I know it works for my raw guys even. I watch it. I watch it happen real time. I have other friends who run these and they PR all the time. I see them on my social media. We share stuff all the time. It works. And I did respond decently well to the speed work once I got into the habit of doing it correctly. So we're going to do it all over again this year. All right? Upward and onward. Make progress. So for anyone who's going to say, well, it's not flip-flopping. I just ran a variant of conjugate after running conjugate most of the year, made progress, and I'm going back and implementing what I learned through that phase back into the normal conjugate again. And we might go back and forth with it. All right, guys, well, that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time. Come on, Jason, you got this, baby. Come on. Yeah. Easy as fuck.